Welcome to the in-depth tutorial on the Ruiner Strobe Kit. Please note that this is a pre-release kit. Some features may be present or not present in this tutorial that may or may not be present in the future. Firstly, we'd like to express gratitude to people who pre-ordered Founders Edition kits. Thank you for your support. If you've come across this in-depth guide and you don't own a Ruiner Strobe Kit but are interested in purchasing one, you can get one from our website, ruiner.co.jp or ruiner.shop. Please be aware that these kits at this time are generally highly limited and pre-order only. Right now I am holding the Ruiner Strobes controller. You can see on the front side of the unit you have an OLED panel on the left side for heads up and real-time display, as well as 4 encoders which will control all of the parameters of your strobe kit. The encoder controls are as follows. You have your power and preset, speed, delay, color, hue, and patterns and modes. The encoders can also be pressed to open up additional menus and adjust parameters further. The housing itself is made out of extruded metal and is very solid and is suitable for all vehicle applications. Moving on to the back side of the unit, you have a USB for future firmware updates, power, as well as connections for all of your individual strobes. The strobe as well as power connections are going to be 2 and 4-pin Molex style connectors. We've designed this unit to be easily accessible and repairable if needed. On the front side, you'll see 4 Phillips head screws, which can be removed, as well as the encoders to remove the front faceplate on the Ruiner Strobes controller. Moving to the back side of the unit, there are also 4 more Phillips head screws which can be removed, which will allow you to remove the back plate from the unit. Please note that while we don't expect repair to be necessary on these units at any point, we believe the end user has a right to repair any of these parts themselves before ordering any replacements from us. To reassemble the unit, simply realign the faceplates, put the 4 Phillips screws back on each side, and press the encoders onto the encoder LEDs. That's it, nice and easy. Moving on to the strobes themselves, your strobe kit will come with 5 individual strobes with 4 LEDs each at 4 watts per strobe. Please be mindful to not bend your strobe cables at extreme angles to ensure a long-lasting and reliable connection. All 5 strobes have a waterproof breakaway cable a couple feet into the line so that you can disconnect your bumpers without having to remove your strobes. As you can see, these fittings are very snug. You'll notice a notch on both sides indicating the direction in which these cables can be installed together. Connecting the strobes to the unit could not be more simple. The Molex style connectors only allow the cables to fit one direction. A quick glance at the port as well as the connector will give you a clear indication of how to plug it into the back of the unit. It's important to note that the data signal on the Ruiner Strobe Kit is chained together. This means that the data information is sent from the first port to the second port to the third port and so on. This information is important to know because if you do not intend to use all 5 strobes in your vehicle, for example, you'd like to use 4 ports, you will need to leave the last port farthest from the power supply connection disconnected. A gap cannot be left on the connections on the backside. If you wanted to operate only 1 strobe, you'd use the port closest to the power supply. If you wanted to use only 3 strobes, you'd use the 3 closest ports to the power supply, and so on. And as you can see, in a matter of a few seconds, we have all of our connections firmly connected to the controller. To power your Ruiner Strobe Kit for the first time or any time, simply press the left encoder for a few seconds until you see the encoders light up and the OLED display light up. Once the unit has power, as you can see, the strobes immediately light up. A splash screen shows branding as well as a firmware version. As previously mentioned, you have a preset encoder allowing you to save your favorite settings to presets, a speed encoder to adjust the speed and delay of the strobes, as well as a color, hue, and mode encoder to change the colors and modes, and a pattern encoder allowing you to change the pattern and firing sequence of your strobes. Let's first demo the functionality of the preset encoder. You can see as I turned the preset, it changed the user preset on the OLED screen. Now, any settings that have been changed will be automatically saved to this new preset slot after we stop adjusting the parameters for a few moments. You can see I've adjusted the speed of the strobes to around 70%. We currently have some delay implemented before the pattern loops. At 30%, you can press the speed encoder and turn it down if you don't want to have any delay before the pattern repeats. So let's do that here. You can see that the pattern is now looping without any delay before it repeats. Let's say you want to change the color from red to green. All you need to do is turn the color/hue knob until the color on the encoders matches the color that you'd like to see on the strobes on the outside of your vehicle. Now, as you recall, we had set this to a new user preset. So you'll see that if we turn the user preset, we have a fresh one over here, But if we turn back to our previous preset, you'll see that all of our previous settings that we had just implemented are automatically reloaded on that preset. Additionally, the Ruiner Strobe Kit will save your last used preset for the next time you start your car. So if you have a favorite preset, simply leave it on that preset when you turn off the unit, and the next time that you power it on, it will reload that preset information. That is it for presets. There's 11 available slots to load and save your favorite settings if you so choose to do so. Moving on to the speed encoder, turning this encoder to the right will increase the speed of the strobes, turning to the left will decrease. Pressing the speed encoder will allow you to adjust the delay settings. A lower percentage delay means less time before the pattern repeats, and a higher percentage delay means more time before the pattern repeats. As you can see, by increasing the delay parameter, there is a noticeable amount of time before the pattern repeats itself. Moving on to the color and hue encoder, if you are in the hue mode, turning the encoder will simply change which colors are displayed on your strobes. The controller was designed to be super easy to read and understand from inside your vehicle. If your encoder knobs are light blue, your strobes are light blue. If your encoder knobs are green, your strobes are green. If your encoder knobs are red and white, your strobes are red and white. This room is very bright, so the encoders are a little difficult to see, but you can see as I rotate through the colors that the colors on the strobes are reflecting what is happening on the encoders. Pressing the color hue encoder one time will enable the white colors mode, which you can see on the OLED. Turning the knob rather than changing the hue of the lights will allow you to adjust the temperature of the white from a warm white all the way down to a cool white color. This tone change, similar to previous adjustments, is also reflected on the encoders inside of your vehicle. Pressing the color hue button a second time will go from white mode into the combos mode. This combo mode features dozens of color combination modes for your strobes in order to operate multiple colors at the same time in your vehicle. It is possible with future firmware updates, new color combination modes may be released. At this time, there are around 50 in the unit. Looking down at the strobes, you can see 3 colors being clearly displayed here. Pressing the color hue knob a third time will enable the shifts mode, as you can see reflected on the OLED to the left side. Shift modes include many color presets that shift the colors on strobe from any given color to another. As you can see here, I'm currently demoing a shift mode that's just cycling through the color spectrum. So we currently have a red color that's fading into an orange color that will fade into a yellow color, green color, so on and so forth. So now we've learned that pressing the color hue button will cycle through the available color modes. To clarify, you have a hue mode, white mode, combos mode, shift mode, as well as a special mode. Pressing the button one last time will cycle back to the hue mode and the process repeats again. For those curious about the special mode, those are just some fun presets that we came up with. Turning the encoder will allow you to browse between them. There's only a couple at this time, but perhaps we'll add more in the future. The last encoder that we need to take a look at to fully understand the functions of the unit is the pattern encoder on the right side. Turning this encoder will change the pattern that your strobes fire in. As you can see on this OLED here, we have dots that indicate the positions of the individual strobes in your vehicle. I'm going to go ahead and slow it down so you can see a little bit easier what's happening. In this specific pattern, you can see that 3 strobes fire at the same time, followed by the 2 rear strobes. If you take a look at the strobes as well as the dots on the OLED, you can see that they sync up exactly in time with the strobes that are firing. This means that you can adjust the pattern as well as the speed and delay and know exactly when the strobes are firing on the outside of your vehicle without ever seeing them. Here I'm actively cycling a few of the available modes and monitoring the OLED in real time to see what's happening with the strobes. You may be noticing a scanning effect happening on the OLED at this time. This is simply a frame rate difference between the camera and the refresh rate on the OLED. The actual picture is fully solid at all times. One of the most important and unique features of our product is the real-time readout. You'll see on the OLED that there is an image of a car with 5 dots that correlate to the firing time and position of all of your strobe lights. If you want to have the lights on static on a specific color, you can do that. If you want to have them on white, you can do that. If you want to have multiple combos, color shifts, or even the special modes changing the lights at a rapid pace, you can do that at your own discretion. That more or less will cover the basic functions of the Ruiner Strobe Kit. We've gone over the presets, the speed, delay, hue, different modes, patterns, how to save your presets. Full production run kits will come with user manuals that outline all of this in detail as well for your records. Pressing and holding the left encoder at any time will immediately shut off all strobes as well as the unit. Thank you again for watching this in-depth tutorial and for your faith in our products and brand. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us via our email or any of our social medias, and we'll do our best to help you out.